Hello and welcome to the Hahn Films Podcast. I'm your host, Matt Hahn, owner and executive producer at Hahn Films. On this podcast, we explore the ins and outs of film production through interviews with cast, crew, clients, and more who have worked with us. I have the privilege today of interviewing my longtime friend and filmmaker, Justin Ho, who is finishing up a festival run for his amazing feature film, Broken Pieces. Justin and I have had a long history together. We explored filmmaking as children, making a lot of movies together, and now today we work together in various capacities. We will even discuss how he helped finish up Generation Hack, my new proof of concept film that is gone on to its world premiere this December 11th at Big Apple Film Festival. So without further ado, let's talk to Justin Ho.
You never told him?
We were all part of this. I could have found a way.
I can't just be stone cold and help fix the world.
Every species on the planet fights for survival.
I will stand, and I will fight to save this world.
60 Hahn, take two.
Welcome, Justin. How you doing today, buddy?
I'm all right. I'm sitting here in my beautiful studio with my portal into the ether.
The ether.
Yeah.
That's your little bit of outside in your environment.
Yeah, it's just ether white void of nothingness that consists of my mind.
Awesome. Awesome.
Yes.
So, today I just really want to go over, our history. We've been kind of best friends, I would say, for a very, very long time. Best and oldest friend I have. And we've had the privilege of making films and stuff together since a very young age. Like, not only can we be best friends, which is awesome, but we're also both filmmakers. I think that's unique. You don't hear that a lot.
Right. Yeah. First of all, thank you for saying that. That means a lot to me.
Yeah.
To be considered a best of something. So thank you. Yes.
You're welcome.
I think you and I were both, into movies and video games and, storytelling in general. So even when we were younger, we're playing games. And when it came to making films, it was just filming us. At least for me, it was filming myself playing games and being
Right.
stupid and having fun. So yeah, it is nice to have grown up with someone else doing the same thing, and there was also like a collaboration and sort of a friendly competition that
Right.
invigorated me, and hopefully you as well, and
Oh, of course.
to to do things and show each other things and get really excited about it, which is why I'm really excited for Gen Hack. And a lot of your other stuff has always motivated me to do things. So
Well, that's very nice to hear, to throw right back at you. I mean, it's been this interesting thing where back and forth throughout our whole lives, we've worked on each other's projects, especially when we were younger. We kind of figured out filmmaking together on some of these ridiculous movies we made, like A Mob Story and Stirring of a Consciousness, and just all these crazy things. The Revolver, like all these obscure little films that we made when we were younger. And yeah, I loved watching what you were doing, and especially like your editing and your cinematography and just the way you position the camera and things of that nature. Like, it was always something that I was like, wow, I wish I could do stuff like that. And then I came to realize, like, well, filmmaking's not about you doing everything. So it became one of those things where, like, you create an amazing group of people, and you have these people around you that help create your vision, and that becomes their vision too. And that's kind of like, I feel like how we've moved into working together these days. Like, you and I have our own visions and we create our own films separately, and sometimes we call upon each other to inject a little bit of our own creativity within that. And that's happened, probably the earliest for me where that was a super important moment, and for Hahn Films is A Fine Line. And that being my senior thesis film, I was like, I knew I needed someone on my side that was really going to make this vision come true. And you were at the time going to SVA for cinematography, and I was like, this is the moment. This is the moment to have Justin and I work together in a capacity that we've never had before. And do you want to talk a little bit about your experience with Fine Line and how that all came to be?
Well, a fine line felt like a culmination of both of our passions sort of reaching that climax. So yeah, I went to School of Visual Arts for cinematography because back then I thought that I enjoyed cinematography. 'Cause I was always into filming stuff and shoving cameras in small spaces. But
Yeah.
so I I had a choice of major and I wanted to go with directing, but I was told it's better to have a technical skill, so I chose cinematography. And when you were doing your thesis, because you graduated earlier than me, you
Right.
went through college pretty fast. You asked me to shoot. Of course, I was going to shoot it for you. It's like a no-brainer. I would have done anything for you because it was that was around like the best years of my life was my college years,
Yeah.
and it was such a pleasure to be able to shoot your thesis film. And that was during the advent of DSLR cinematography, everyone using
Yeah.
DSLRs and all that. So
Dude,
I
Canon was like blowing everyone out of the water,
it
and
was
like it changed
yeah
filmmaking at that time. And I'm
yeah
happy that like we went through college, and when that moment happened, it was
yes.
at kind of the end of both of our times in
Y-
school. And yeah, I mean,
Well, for you, it was kind of the end because you were
right, right.
graduate. I was in the middle of mine,
Oh, right,
so
right.
because I remember that whole revolution happened, revolution,
I
and
mean, it kind of is.
our school, I mean, my school at least didn't have them yet, and I was kind of one of the people pushing for it. I
Oh,
was
okay.
teaching my cinematography teacher, how to use the camera and stuff like that.
Yeah,
And being able to shoot your film on the 5D when I had the 5D Mark II, which I
yeah,
still have actually, it was fantastic being able to push that to its limits and
right.
show my cinematography class. Because I remember showing my cinematography teacher footage from A Fine Line, and everyone was really impressed. And I'm like, yeah, that's my friend's film. Yeah, look at it. Yeah, monsters and shit, guns. Um,
Always, always.
so it was great. And
Yeah.
yeah, thank you for that.
Yeah, of course. I would have had it no other way. That you said it too. Like college was just one of those moments that like it's where I feel like not only did we find who we were, but it's it is one of the best times of my life as well. I met my wife Jackie there, and
Mhm.
her and I were creative collaborators in both our spaces while we were in college. I was able to delve into theater. She was able to delve into film. It was a really cool time for me. And then to bring you into the mix of like coming out to Long Island and making a film away from New York City, and then like you said, being able to use the 5D. I mean, it was phenomenal. I love that film, and um, it was it was something that gave me a lot of confidence after college, which which
The-
was great and terrible at the same time because I
yeah,
came to realize that once you leave school, every asset you had at your
yep,
disposal was gone.
yep.
And that was the beauty of being in an arts college,
Mhm.
especially. I am very grateful, like my school did have a really great equipment room, and we were pretty much tried to be on the cutting edge all the time.
Mhm.
And once I left, I was making films back like almost the way I did before college,
Mhm.
and I don't know if you felt that same experience, but Scepter, Tiger Lily, Legacy of Snakes, I was literally relearning the things that I learned in school and
Mhm.
then trying to use way worse equipment to do the
Yeah,
storytelling I needed to.
yeah.
Did you feel that pain too?
I mean, I literally just shot my last feature on an iPhone, so I mean, I am living the
But see, that was a choice. That was a choice, and I really do want to talk about that a little
well,
bit
we'll get to
later.
that later, but, no, yeah, I was very depressed.
Yeah.
I remember the day before graduation, I was so anxious about it because I knew that this was an end of the greatest years of my life. Unfortunately, that still remains to be true, but it
Well,
was.
that might be changing soon.
I hope so. I don't know, but yeah, it was sad. I
Yeah.
had to move back home, and I ended up just going through all my old childhood films again and all
Right.
that, and that influenced my next feature after my previous one. But yeah, yeah. There's a lot of the equipment and resources missed from college that was
Yeah.
helpful. Uh,
But it was, it's not even just that, but it's also the people that we met and worked with as well.
oh yeah,
Like
very much.
everybody went their own separate ways, and we all like found different career paths and whatnot from that. Some, and this is a very hard industry. Some didn't make it, some did,
Hmm.
and I feel like we're all just doing different things too. Whereas you and I, we're still trying to do this thing called filmmaking,
I'm
and
still climbing the cliff
yep.
somehow. It's getting steeper, and but yeah.
Speaking of climbing the ladder, as we continue to figure out how to break into this thing, you just keep advocating for these amazing features in unique ways. And this time around with Broken Pieces, you decided, whether for ease or to put yourself in a place of constraint, because that's something filmmakers like to do, to kind of box themselves in and explode on creativity. But you decided to film Broken Pieces on an iPhone. So do you want to talk a little bit about why you made that decision, how it affected your production days, and even how it affected editing? Because I feel like all those things are affected once you have this different type of footage you're now working with.
Yeah, I mean the editing will relatively remained the same, and I feel it was less constraining than more constraining. The main reason was I was trying to get another feature done and was having issues getting, money for that. So I was getting really concerned it wasn't going to happen, and I was trying to figure out ideas of cutting the budget. So one of them was shooting on an iPhone, and
Right.
I figured I would shoot a short film, write a short film, and shoot it on an iPhone just to test it out. That short film ended up becoming Broken Pieces, which was a feature. So it was mainly an experiment, obviously, to test out shooting on an iPhone, but also help with cutting costs to keep money down. Because unfortunately, another, micro budget thing, and where I had to pretty much do everything. Not everything. Had to shoot, direct,
Right.
edit, all that. So wrote it. So for me, I lost my passion for cinematography over the years.
Yeah.
I only do it as a form of necessity for my own personal projects. And when it came to doing another feature, just being able to shoot on an iPhone felt so much easier
Yeah.
because I was less worried about carrying around a ton of heavy equipment. It was lighter, and the best part, I didn't have to worry about pulling focus
Yeah.
because everything is the smaller sensor and everything. So that was a big easy go-to to be filming on an iPhone, and obviously the story itself worked with it because we were running around New York City, literally running through subway trains while they were moving and all that. So
Yeah.
a lot of stuff that, sure, if you had a bigger budget, you could pull it off, but guerrilla style everything, and with a really small crew, being me mostly and two other people probably, it was an iPhone made everything very possible,
Yeah.
and impossible situations. So
And this is something that I feel like nobody really talks about, but um you and I, just coming from our roots, I think it's interesting that you didn't just shoot on an iPhone. You also shot on, if I'm not mistaken, a mini camera.
it wasn't mini DV. It
Okay.
was one of the handy cams or the camcorders.
Oh, okay.
It was
Like a hard drive camera type of thing?
it had an
Or did
SD card in
it
there.
use
It used an
SD
SD
cards?
card, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because part of the film involved characters filming, character
Sure.
filming the entire time. So you could cut to that POV every now and then.
Yep.
So again, that was like part of when I was writing it, because that whole part of the story, because the film has 5 different narratives. One of the narratives involved a character filming on the camcorder, and the initial idea was that particular story I had in mind for years, and it was supposed to be a feature, and it was supposed to be a found footage style feature, all from the camcorder POV.
Nice.
When I added it to the Broken Pieces as one of the 5 stories, I kept in a little bit of the found footage style with the camcorder, but also I just love shooting with camcorders because we both grew up with that.
Oh yeah.
And when
That's why like when I saw it, I immediately connected to that because it made me feel that way.
Yeah, and when it's funny, when I borrowed the camcorder from my old job, I had it with me and I was playing around with it, and I almost was thinking about dropping the iPhone and just shooting everything on the camcorder. I
That would
was
have
so
been pretty
close.
cool.
I was very close to doing that, but I already had equipment I bought for the iPhone.
Right.
And my next film, I kind of really want to get either a camcorder or something, because what's great about it that I miss so much is the zoom.
Yeah.
The optical zoom
Yeah.
and the built-in optical stabilization is just
Right.
so, it's
It
so
also has a
freeing.
unique look, like
Yeah.
and now it's almost like nostalgic. So
Mhm.
even though back in the day you and I were filming things and making movies with these types of cameras because we didn't have a choice, now
Mhm.
like it's a choice, and like it's a look that we'd go for on purpose.
Well, it
And I
was,
think
yeah.
that's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it was back in the day when we were doing it, it was fantastic because we had all the focal lengths available because it was
Yeah.
a zoom.
Right.
And it wasn't until I got to college, like, I gotta change lenses now. But of course, during college, I was like, yeah, I gotta change lenses. Now
Right.
I freaking don't want to deal with that.
Yeah,
Uh,
especially little tiny, like, anamorphic iPhone lenses, right?
right? We did, yeah, I did actually use little anamorphic adapter lenses
Yeah.
on the iPhone to give it more of a cinematic look.
Right. I honestly, so this is the first time we've really talked about this in depth together, but I think the film looks phenomenal. Like, I mean, if you didn't tell an average person that it was shot on an iPhone, I really don't know who would be able to tell that unless they understand filmmaking and cameras and so on and so forth. But
Right.
you did a
Thanks.
fantastic job. It really shows, and this is one of the reasons why I want to talk about it, because we are adults, if you will, sort of, kind of, maybe not
Mhm.
mentally, but we grew up in an era where there was no such thing as a smartphone. There was no such
Right.
thing as phones in cameras that you would shoot on. Like, we had
Right.
cameras on our phones, but
Right.
the quality was horrendous.
Yeah.
We had a dedicated camera to go around and shoot with, and then now kids who are creative, they don't have that obstacle to get over.
Yeah.
Anyone can just go out and film something. If you have an idea and you have a thought, your camera is right there in your pocket, and it is 1,000 times better than anything you and I had in our possession when we were their age. And I feel like more kids need to hear that, because so many people think, oh, it's the equipment, it's the equipment, it's the equipment, and filmmakers say
Right.
this all
No.
the time, and it's true. It's not. It's what you bring to the table creatively and your storytelling, and this is a testament to that.
Right. Well, that was the big thing with doing it on the iPhone is, I didn't want to concentrate about, on the look of it or anything. It was
Right.
just, the narrative and the story and the characters and all that. We know that,
Yeah.
obviously.
Yeah.
But yeah, in a way, it is nice that everyone has the ability to do high quality things now on their,
Yeah.
things in their pockets. But at the same time, it makes it more difficult because everybody has that ability now.
Of
And
course. And that's why, even more now than ever, storytelling is king, and it's the most
right.
important thing, because you have to be able to tell something unique and different in order
Hmm.
to get noticed, and you have
Hmm.
to be able to tell it in a unique way as well. And I think that's the big struggle, and we're unfortunately like being lumped into that now, because we're still obviously trying to make our break in the industry, and it's difficult, and it always kind of has been, but now, yes, more now than ever, because everybody can do it.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm. But
But
yeah.
before we get too into the weeds about mobile filmmaking, huge part about Broken Pieces. So you are literally at the end of your festival run while Gen Hack is ramping up its festival run right now. I want to talk a little bit about how that experience has been.
Right.
You've been traveling all over the world with this film and you've been winning prestigious awards. Congratulations on that. Like this film is really like it's moving people, and I think that's wonderful. It's a very moving film, and I want you to talk a little bit about, that experience for you over your festival run so far.
Where do I start with the festival run? I mean, it's been recently, it's been fantastic.
Yeah.
Obviously, the hardest part, and every filmmaker can relate, unless you have a big time actor in your film or, a big budget sort of thing, you're just going to get rejections after rejections.
Right.
So when I first started submitting, I looked up the ratio, and I saw it said if you submit to 100 festivals, you'll get into at least 10. So that was my goal, and it's just so much money. And,
Yeah.
and in the beginning, it was just, I had like 20, 30 rejections in a row, and I just was starting to think another failure. And it was very disheartening. I was talking to my therapist a lot and questioning my life. And it was a terrible start to the year, to be honest, with that and other things. But eventually, it starts getting in, and then it starts picking up momentum. It's just difficult getting the first push because
Right.
it's heavy, but once it starts moving, the momentum picks up, and the the roads become a little steeper, and it's been rolling down a little faster. So it's been great. Recently, it's been getting into fests and winning, surprisingly. Winning's to me surprisingly, because I'm usually not expecting to win things, but
Right.
it has, which is always very helpful, obviously,
Yeah.
and I appreciate that. And the last one was in London, which gave me an excuse to return there, which was fantastic. So
And you won. You won a
yeah, it
huge
won. That
award there.
weekend, that weekend, it screened in 3 festivals. I couldn't attend all of them because I was in London. So
Yeah.
and it
You
won at
you
all.
don't clone yourself?
I wouldn't want to. I feel like I'd be disgusted. Like what? So it managed to win at all those 3 festivals, which was
That's amazing.
surprising to me. But yeah, so I mean, apparently the film is good, I guess. So, if it screens anywhere else, come watch it if you're around. But yeah,
What is as it's coming to an end, how many festivals do you have left, and what is the next screening of it? Do you know?
I don't know. Because you're still getting rejections. Rejections still
Yeah.
come in.
It,
It's
yeah.
the way you play the game.
I wasn't sure if there was anything lined up at the moment.
I mean, there might be a Florence screening, but I don't know
Okay.
yet right now. But yeah, I don't know how many is left. I still got a decent amount left. I sent you a list.
Yeah.
There's still a decent amount, but I think I'm gonna slow down my Film Freeway uh, uh, paid thing. It's ending,
Yeah. Yeah.
so I'm gonna cancel that soon. Uh, but yeah, but that being said, I'm excited to begin your film
Yes.
fest
Yeah,
journey.
yeah. Hey all, are you a parent looking for a fun and exciting podcast to listen to? Well, look no further. Go check out Couple Chat. It's a conversational podcast between my wife and myself where we talk about everything from marriage, entertainment, events, and parenting. All for you, parents. You can listen to us on YouTube Music and Spotify. Let's chat. As we said, so your festival run is kind of coming to an end. You still have some things in the works. Hoping to hear more screening dates soon. For Generation Hack, a film that has been near and dear to me for years, and we've had some trouble finishing. Pandemic really played a part in that, and just the editing process. It was a hefty one because there were a good amount of visual effects that were baked into the production process. And originally, I had a team hired to do that, and just again through the pandemic and finances and family, it took a back seat for a little while. And now I am happy to say that it's finished. We have a world premiere. It's coming out on December 11th as an official selection of the Big Apple Film Festival. So I'm super thankful and honored to be a part of this festival, which I've worked with before. And this would have never been possible if it wasn't for you. So I really thank you for coming in at the 11th hour to figure out how to get this thing finished. And I want to talk a little bit about what that process was like for you.
I mean, it was you got me at a really good time because I when you when you texted me about it, I was recently laid off of my job, so I had plenty of time, and I was about to go dog sit for a friend at his house for
Oh, right. I
several
forgot
days.
about that.
So it was like a perfect span of time to be able to just experiment
Yeah.
and try the visual effects things out on your film, which was definitely a learning experience. And I appreciate you allowing me to have that attempt,
Yeah.
with visual effects. I mean, it's very, rudimentary VFX with tracking and holographic displays and all that jazz.
Right.
But
But it
for
sells this finished product. Like
right, right,
I
right.
was you didn't even tell me about really what you had been working on. And then we had a meeting like maybe a week or so after where we talked
Mhm.
about the visual effects and I gave you the list and everything and I was like, "Hey,
Yeah.
like this is what I'm trying to do." And by that point, you didn't tell me, which was amazing. I'm glad you didn't say anything, but you had already been working on a lot of the things.
Yeah, well, I was, at my friend's place, dog sitting. I had his dog there sitting on the couch next to me, just chilling and give me company. So it was great. And yeah, a lot of it, I mean, obviously there was a VFX component, but I think there was a lot of you wanted my help to smooth out the edit.
For
Uh,
sure.
I know the fight scene at the end, I remember you being incredibly disappointed with the fight and you
Yeah.
showed me the first cut of it. And I thought it was great.
You know,
I know you hated it, but I obviously it
I
wasn't.
I actually didn't hate it. I took some advice from someone who I trust their opinion,
Mhm.
a fellow filmmaker, and he just said the fight doesn't really work, and I think you should try and figure out a more unique way to show it. So I originally had this fight in there, and then I cut it down,
Yeah. You ended
and
up kind of completely cutting it out,
yeah, pretty much.
essentially, which
And
worked as well.
yeah,
I mean, that was great, but, I when you showed me the first cut of the fight, I saw it there. I mean, it was
yeah.
there, it's just you didn't carve all the pieces out yet, and I was talking to my friend yesterday about this, actually. So, I was talking about, you know, having being difficult to see the forest and the trees because you're literally in the forest. It's your film.
Yeah.
You're so close to it, and I guess in a way I was able to see the fight scene, and I saw. I wanted to try to keep it in there. I was try my
For
best
sure.
to add it back, and and that I think I took on as a nice fun challenge, as in a way. And maybe you didn't like it, and I would have been fine with it, and would have cut it out again. But that was one thing that I really enjoyed experimenting with and trying to revive pretty
Yeah.
much.
And it was phenomenal. I love it. I think it really caps off this proof of concept short because I feel like without the fight, you don't really understand what the implications of Hilt's journey are. Like, why is she getting this hack? What is the whole purpose of this? Who is she trying to protect herself from? So to not have that fight in there is just robbing the audience of the reasoning behind this whole story. So I really appreciate you really working hard to figure it out because it's phenomenal. I love it. The sound design down to the way you cut the music together because that was another thing. My composer Sachitha Fernando, he's a Sri Lankan composer. So we are on a different timeline. It's very hard to get in touch with him sometimes. And again, the movie's been the music has been composed for years now. And adding this fight scene back in, I needed to adjust the score. And unfortunately, we weren't able to get in touch with him to do that in time for the festival submission. So I was like, Justin, it's in your hands. Like, let's try and just make it work. And that moment too, you blew me away because he created a theme that really doesn't live within the score as a whole. It's in bits and pieces, but when he originally pitched me the score for Gen Hack, he sent me like
Hmm.
a 5-minute theme, and
Hmm.
I was like, this is phenomenal. Let's cut it down so we can use it in a trailer or whatever. So it's in the trailer, it's in this 5-minute theme, and then you took that and you added it in, injected it into the fight scene at the perfect moment, and it was just like, yeah, it blew me away, and it sells the whole thing. So it was great. It's
Yeah,
great.
because it was a sketch, right? Or something. Not really a sketch, but it was.
Well, the music composition that's in there that was in the last edit that I did before I gave it to you is the actual score that he sent. Um, but because we had to adjust that ending, it didn't line up at the
Hmm.
end. So that that theme, it's a finished piece of work. Like I would like to release the music to the public so that people can listen to it. It's a phenomenal score. Sachitha is an amazing composer, and I love working with him. That's why I continue
Hmm.
going back to him. Like, he's in Sri Lanka, and it's hard communicating sometimes because of the time difference, but I mean, he's phenomenal. And he's one of those people that, like, if something happens and this film goes somewhere, like, he's a part of this package. Like, he's just
Hmm.
too good to let go and use someone else. Like,
Hmm.
he's just that good. So to be able to throw that in there, it was great.
Yeah. I mean, there's other stuff as well.
Yeah.
A lot of other experimenting with. So I guess, do you want to talk about the
Yeah. So I
elephant in
mean,
the room?
Yeah, I mean, I don't consider it an elephant.
Right.
I think it's the thing that really pushed this over the edge and allowed us to finish it in the time frame we had, in the skill set that we had, because in the end, this is a proof of concept, and not every little nook and cranny needs to be 100% perfect. We're not talking about a feature film here that's, you know, uh huge amounts of people for in theaters across the world are going to see. I mean, I guess if it's at a festival, sure, but in
Right.
the end, I needed to sell the idea, and you and I are in a very unique spot because generative AI was just released
Hmm.
to the public. Like, I think it's been like maybe a year now, and it was in beta for a long time, and then finally Adobe made it accessible in their main applications. Came out of beta, and it's, it's a little wonky sometimes, and it's hard
Right.
to work with here and there. But you decided, hey, this is something that might help us in finishing this.
Right.
You found this as a resource and a tool that would be able to help you and I get to what Gen Hack was missing. And the world building is there. I explain this as, a cyberpunk version of Jersey City, and there are elements that I wanted to put into it, but I didn't have the budget to be able to do that. I didn't have a visual effects artist to be able to go in and create new buildings and just redesign the shots that we had. And you took it upon yourself without telling me that you were going to try this. And when you sent me that first edit, I was blown away. And I knew exactly what you did, but the average person would not. And that's what's amazing about it, because this film is a testament to the day and age we live in. And I think it's unique. Again, so you go back to that mobile filmmaking, right? So
Hmm.
now these filmmakers not only have the ability to shoot with a phone in their pocket, but they can create almost anything they want because of these tools. Now, I'm not saying that you should just take these tools and, oh, hey, make me a movie, and then, that's it. I want to sell this now because I made it, technically, because I just told it, hey, I do it. But you need to be able to use these tools in the correct way. And I think you found the nice mixture and blending of these two worlds. And why not use it in a film about cyberpunk? It's just, it's the perfect film for this. So do you want to talk a little bit about how you decided that? Because I was nowhere near you when you
Right,
decided to do this.
right. Cutting the out. First of all, the way you shot the film, the establishing shots in the beginning at least, just called for it. 'Cause you had those static locked off shots.
Yep.
And when I saw that, that's when it first came to mind. Because I remember watching early cuts of your film, and I wish that there was more VFX in there, but obviously I know you can't afford VFX. So
Right.
when you asked me to help polish it up and whatnot, I have known of generative AI in Photoshop, and I've seen you even do it on a couple of things
Right.
for fun, and I've seen other people. So I figured might as well give it a shot and add in some cyberpunk buildings and set extends
Yeah.
essentially. So I experimented with that and I thought it was cool. I wasn't sure if you were gonna like it. I was hoping
Yeah.
because I thought it was exciting because essentially finally those opening shots, looks like I couldn't do it to all of them obviously because he had some of those drone shots with tracking
Yeah.
stuff where
But
you
you
see
did
the
do it.
elements.
So Gen Hack has two shots in it that I feel like this is the movie. This is the epitome of what this movie is. And like, if I say, "Hey, check out Gen Hack," I'm going to show you these two pictures and then tell you what it is, and you're going to understand. But it's the shot of Hilt at her desk with the goggles, and then it's the shot of the city, the skyline that we got perfectly. That drone shot that was kind of an
Right. Well,
accident,
right.
and I mean, you said, "Oh, but the drone footage," but you enhanced that shot and like
Well, that it worked for that shot because you're wide enough for the
right.
parallaxing. If I put the buildings of photoshopped buildings or the AI'd buildings, in a far enough distance, because they're essentially just 2D, things, uh, then the parallaxing is fine, so you don't notice it. But unfortunately, the other drone shot in the beginning, like I wanted to add stuff to it, but
Oh, yeah.
you needed 3D objects at that point.
Yeah. You're talking
So
about the one that like tilts up basically.
tilts up in the
Yep.
beginning, yeah.
Yeah.
But you can't do it to all of it. But a lot of the shots, I was able to, and really
Yeah.
appreciated that. It took a bit. I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to add it to that drone shot you were talking about, but um, again, it's all the parallaxing and how
Yeah.
distant objects move in the frame and all that jazz.
Right. Well, it's funny because I never correlated it to Gen Hack, especially, but I follow this YouTuber Andy Axe who runs a video production company in Norway, I want to say, and he's been doing a ton of AI work recently, and he was showing how extending sets and like creating a space and then being able to add new objects to it and whatever. And I was like, wow, that's really cool. I want to try that for my next film. And we talked about how I'm trying to do a sequel to Legacy of Snakes, which is near and dear to me because it's Hideo Kojima and Metal Gear Solid. And I was telling you about a scene where I want to use generative AI and like how I'm gonna do it. And it just never clicked to me like Gen Hack, hello, this is the movie that you need to be doing this with. Not a new movie. You have a movie sitting here that you could be trying this out with. So it was just that again, like injecting that new person into the space to bring your own creativity to it. Because in the end, generative AI is something that still needs to be used in a creative way. And if you can't use it correctly, it's still not going to be a good tool to use for you. So you did it in a brilliant way. And I appreciate everything you did in this edit. Not just that, the sound design, the sound mixing, like it's something that you've said before that's not really your forefront and you're not great at it, but this thing is phenomenal. I watch it, in my theater at home here, and I'm like so excited for this premiere. And yeah, you, Justin Ho, are very, very, very thankful for what you were able to do to help Gen Hack get to where it is today. So thank you.
Well, thank you for giving me the opportunity to be able to experiment and have fun. Because for me, it's different when I'm working on my own things. It's so personal and it's oppressive and oh my gosh. But when you handed me your film, there was something very freeing about it. And yeah, I didn't feel pressured about anything. And that helped a lot
Yeah. Yeah.
to be able to really explore and not feel like I was held back by a leash or anything.
Sure.
So I'm really glad that it got into the Big Apple. I'm super psyched to see it on in the cinema with other filmmakers and
Oh yeah.
with other short films. That's the best part, and I'm excited to hear your Q&A after we're just
Yeah.
talking about all the things.
Yeah, and it's funny too because like, that's one of those things I'm wondering if we're going to get a question about it. I'm curious if somebody's going to say, "Hey, did you guys use generative AI?" if they don't follow us on
Right.
social media or anything like that. And it's an interesting subject matter, and I'm glad that I get to discuss it because it's something that, again, you have to understand how to use these things. And yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, I don't think it's bad. I don't think it's a bad tool. It's a tool. It's
Yeah.
not meant to replace. It's a tool.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I haven't spoken publicly about it yet because no one's asked, but I did use AI in Broken Pieces
oh wow,
for specific shots.
yeah,
Obviously, a lot of it's edited, afterwards, but yeah, I also used AI. Not to the
wow.
extent of Gen Hack, but
Well, sure.
it was,
But yeah, I mean, again, there's a time and a place for it, and you just have to
mhm,
know how to use it. So.
yeah.
Well, thank you, Justin, for coming on to the podcast today. And I appreciate you talking about us and our history, Broken Pieces, Gen Hack. We're in a very interesting time in our lives, and I am excited to see where 2025 is going to take both of us. So I bid you adieu, and I shall see you soon, probably at the premiere next.
Yeah. Psyched.
Same. All right, man.
All right.
Well, that was Justin Ho. We got into the nitty gritty of Broken Pieces and how he made that film with an iPhone, and how mobile filmmaking is just an amazing way to get your creativity seen these days, as well as his festival run and how it's a very difficult path to go down. And you really need to take the time and effort to do that kind of thing if you do have a film. And then we also spoke about Generation Hack and how Justin helped finish that film up. We talked about generative AI and how it's a very unique and interesting tool used these days. And it's something that, everyone's not really sure if it's the right thing to use and how to use it. So we'll see how everyone accepts this in a film like Generation Hack, which does explore the future of technology through a cyberpunk lens. Anyway, this is the Hahn Films Podcast. I'm your host again, Matt Hahn, owner and executive producer at Hahn Films. If you'd like to catch more episodes of the podcast, go to Spotify or YouTube Music or YouTube itself if you want to watch the video. And I will catch you guys in the next one.